Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw. The man delivers. Boom. Okay, so this photo, what? Oh man, this is like childhood. You're pushing all the right buttons. Okay, so the photo is called Test Pilot. In it is an F-16 Falcon.
Yep.
Which I know. It's shot by another sort of accompanying jet. That's who's photographing. Please don't. You're not going to tell me that you're in the cockpit, are you?
I am. That's me.
Oh, dude, no, man, you can't be serious. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Total crush happening. Okay, so there is this jet, F-16 flying in it. I don't know if it's is that single or a double? Is that a solo or are you with a two-person?
Yeah, that's a single seater, so that's an F-16C.
Yeah. Okay. Look, it's over the desert. It looks like the desert or something. You're probably at like, I don't know, I'll say 30,000 feet because why not? Probably, I don't know, let's say 4 kilometers up in the air, whatever that is. In the back of the plane is a funny looking rig that I have no idea what it is. It's not what you normally see on the back of a jet. But man, like what is this, Pat? What is this?
All right, so this was me in my my first professional career. I was a pilot in the U.S. Air Force, and eventually I got to go through test pilot school, and then there I am flying things like this. And one of the really amazing things we got to do was spin testing. We would deliberately go up and put the airplane out of control, because before you send an airplane out to the fleet with any new modification, you want to know how it's going to behave. And if the modification is bad and makes it more dangerous for the pilots to fly, then they need to know about that and adjust their behavior accordingly. So that thing you see on the back, that rig, that is a spin chute. And it's this big 10-meter diameter chute that is fired by a mortar shell out behind you if you get into a situation where you can't recover the aircraft. And so you're flying along in the cockpit, and you've got this, no kidding, a big red button right in front of you. And if things go bad, you punch the big red button and hope that it solves the problem.
Right, it brings you that stability.
Yeah. And this was over Edwards Air Force Base out in Southern California.
Oh, Pat, what? Okay, so in the population of human beings, let's say there's, I don't know, 10,000, 20,000 people who have been in an F-16, who have flown these amazing aircraft. You're one of them. Yeah. And if you have seen what my eyes have seen, like, oh man, like that, astounding. And so the one of the pillars of the podcast is, life is a gift, and how do we make every second count?
It is.
How did you end up I can only imagine how many classified and unclassified stories you could tell us. But like, what is the kernel, this at the core of that thing that led you to flying this unbelievable machine?
Okay, I always wanted to be an astronaut, and so as a kid, I found out that most astronauts started their professional careers as test pilots, and that most test pilots had started their careers as fighter pilots. And then how do you get to become a fighter pilot? And so I picked what I wanted to do, and then I tried to back up everything to get onto the path where I could do it. And so even in high school, I applied for the United States Air Force Academy. So I went there. And then I went to pilot training in Lubbock, Texas, where I met my lovely wife. And then I went and I flew F-4s over in the Philippines. And
Oh, wow.
that got us our first trip to Hong Kong, which was prior to the transition. And I imagine it's a much different place now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then when we came back from that, I got selected for test pilot school. The school itself is a year long, but the payoff is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get to do this kind of stuff.
Oh, man. Wow. Pat, like, astounding. Okay. So this is what screams out to me, is that part of your education and development involved this idea of strategic thinking, right? That something about your parents modeling for you or guiding you, or something, some lesson in life said to you, if you want to get to X, you have to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So you knew you wanted to get to that one goal. And so you lined up all these things starting from when you're like a teen.
Yeah.
What did your parents show you? What is that?
I think the biggest thing they showed me, and I absolutely positively love my parents, and I think the biggest gift they gave me, beyond life, was the gift of reading and the love of reading, because that opens so many more worlds to you, so many more possibilities and universes. And so from a very young age, I might ask for a bike, or I might want cowboy boots or something. And often that answer was no. But if I wanted to go to the library, that answer was almost always yes.
Okay, so the photograph is it must be a composite image, or not composite. It must be it's not a true photo.
Yeah, it is.
It is a true photo.
Yeah.
Okay. It's called Mars Mariner Valley, and it is a photo of Mars, I'm assuming.
Yep.
And taken from, what would you say, like 100 miles from the surface in altitude, or more than that?
Probably more than that, to be able to get the full disk of the planet in there. Okay.
Walk us through this, because I have so many. My forehead is really kind of crinkled. Okay, what's happening here, man?
Okay,
I love it.
So Mars, in terms of climate and size and gravity and everything, is the next most inhabitable planet in our solar system. And this particular, if you look at that, what looks like a scar on the face of the planet, that is Mariner Valley. Now, just to give you a sense of scale, from the left edge to the right edge of that valley is about the same distance as from the east coast to the west coast of the United States, or the continent of Australia.
Right.
So this is a big valley
feature
we're talking about here.
It's a humongous feature. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about 4,000 kilometers long, and it's about 7 kilometers deep. And it has the benefit of running east and west, Mars east and west. So the rotation of Mars gives that valley a normal amount of sunlight. And the depth of the valley means that the pressure at the floor of the valley is higher. The atmospheric pressure is higher. And I think it's going to be one of the most likely colonization spots for humans when we get to Mars.
What? Okay, for me, it's 6:30 in the morning. What are you doing to my head? I love this. I had no idea this is going to be, you brought me to Mars. I love it. Okay, keep going.
All right. Yeah. So Mariner Valley, and then I love Mariner Valley so much and its potential for humans so much that I wove it into a big chunk of the story in my book. And a lot of the action takes place in Mariner Valley. So, so yeah, I just took a couple of things that I liked and slammed them all together and thought this was the perfect picture.
It is absolutely the perfect picture. It's unreal, right? It's too real. It blows your mind.
Uh-huh.
I know where to look at in the sky at night and say, okay, that's Mars.
Mm-hmm.
And it's astounding to think that people have been able to use our thumbs and our ability to abstract to send things up there.
Yeah.
And to me, in terms of my own development, it's as astounding that we're having this conversation and my head's exploding from thing. And then you say, and then there's my book. Okay, so you wrote a book. What's the title? Let's put that in people's brains. What's the
Okay.
title of your book? Sell it.
Title of the book is Spark.
Spark. Yeah, nice. So talk about your book, man. Like, sell it. Like, okay. So how long? When did you finish? When did it publish?
It came out May 29th of last year.
Okay. So pretty recent. Okay.
Yeah.
Was it your first book, or have you written other books?
Yeah, my first book.
Oh, well done. Well done.
No, thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah. So talk about talk about your book, man.
Okay. So the whole genesis of this book began. Now I have kids. You have kids. You have kids, right? Or is it the
one daughter and 11 pets. So 12.
Very good. Yeah. So yeah, I'm at 2 daughters and 4 pets right now.
Mm-hmm.
So at one point, both of my daughters were very much into a game called Pokemon Go.
Okay.
And I don't know if you're familiar with it or not.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for those that aren't, what Pokemon Go does in terms of the way it manifests is it takes the Pokemon and it projects this virtual construct onto a real background. So you can see Squirtle or, one of the Pokemon there, and it looks like it's hanging out in the school playground.
Mm-hmm.
And even though you can tell that it's obviously a cartoon and virtual, I loved the idea of projecting the virtual upon the real. And so that started me thinking about virtual reality. And one of the problems with virtual reality is that it takes you out of reality. You are completely cut off from what is really around you. And so if you play a virtual reality game, you're in danger of knocking your TV off the stand, stepping on the cat, all sorts of things because you've been separated from reality.
Right.
And that got me to do a little research into a thing called augmented reality, which is really what Pokemon Go is that it blends reality and the virtual. And I started thinking, what if you could have a theme park, a Disneyland, if you will, where you could blend these two things? And so the title of the book, Spark, is an acronym for Solar Prime Augmented Reality Park. And it's a place for gamers of all ages. And it pulls solar power into it because when I lived, when I was test pilot out in California, we would fly past a thing called Solar One almost every day. And it's this consolidated solar thermal power plant. It has this big circular array of mirrors, and it reflects the sunlight up onto a tall tower, and it heats up molten salt, and then it uses that heat to generate steam to power a turbine, and voila, we have electricity. But it's so inefficient.
Okay.
And so there's another way to generate solar electricity or solar power, and that's through photovoltaic panels. It's like what you see on the space station or satellites or on the roof of somebody's house down the street.
Yeah.
and they are much better in terms of both efficiency and also they're more environmentally friendly.
Mm-hmm.
One of the problems with these mirror arrays is have you ever walked in the reflected sunlight of a high-rise building?
Yep. Yeah.
And
That fries everything. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and you get pretty warm pretty quickly. And so now you
Mm-hmm.
think about all these mirrors focusing on one small region of space. And unfortunately, there's no warning sign for the birds.
Uh-huh.
And
Oh,
so,
right.
so birds, they can see the bright thing over there, so they're not going to fly into that. But,
Yeah.
there's nothing in the bird's brain that says, yeah, not only don't fly near it, into it, don't fly anywhere near it
Sure.
because you're going to
You
go
get
through this.
toasted.
Yeah, you're going to get toasted. And the birds ignite almost like that,
Oh,
and they
dude.
fall to earth, with their feathers smoking, and it's yeah. So anyway, that's kind of a long dissertation on solar power, but that's why I'm a bigger advocate of photovoltaic solar power than I am
Mm-hmm.
these
Mm-hmm.
consolidated thermal systems.
Yeah. Okay. So Spark, your book, is a novel, or it's
Yeah, it's a science fiction novel.
okay. But why is Mars is Mars the kind of the territory? So you didn't explain the augmented reality, but how does in the park and how does that relate to Mars?
Okay, all right. So this park, gamers like to do quests,
Yeah.
and one of the quests that I created for this book was called War on Mars. And so it
Mm-hmm.
takes place on a virtual Mars in a virtual
Ah.
Mariner Valley. And so that's how the two marry up there.
Okay. Got it. Got it. People can get Spark from where? From how do people who are inspired by you learn more about you, find your book, all that
Okay.
stuff?
Well, the book's available on Amazon. I mean, everything's on Amazon these days. So
Sure.
you
Sure.
get hard copies.
This
You can get
podcast is on Amazon.
this podcast. Yeah. So perfect.
Everything's on Amazon.
It is. It is. It's really surprising. It is the most surprising mega company that the world has ever seen.
No, it is. It is quite astounding. Okay, so the book is okay. So is there an age demographic? Is there like so when you go to give a talk about your book, how do you present it?
I come at it from a couple of ways. One, I wanted to write a book that I thought would be family friendly.
Shooting it raw?
Yes, shooting it raw.